Welcome back to Munchausen's Proxy, where I checked out of The Witcher after the finale of Season 1. Mainly because everything the people involved with the show were saying was raise a Chinese May Day parade's worth of red flags for me. Why did I originally watch The Witcher? Henry Cavill and the IP. What did the showrunner and writers Netflix hired hate about The Witcher? Henry Cavill and the IP. The Witcher literary and game universes were epic and rich with lore most people had never encountered before, even Westerners. And a nerd like Henry Cavill eats such things up. It is why he loved being Superman, and why, disgusted with being a mere cog in his projects, he decided to executive produce his own thing. And what does a giant nerd like Cavill go to after being disappointed with the people running DC and The Witcher? Warhammer 40K. It is a property whose lore is probably even more dense and rich than The Witcher. I checked out of The Witcher because I wasn't getting what the title promised. Namely, The Witcher. The first season was cool, when the bloody Witcher was the focus of the story. Alas, most of the season was not about the Witcher. It was about Ciri wandering around the land, mostly lost, and Yennefer wandering about the land, looking for her lady parts that she sacrificed to become beautiful, and about Nilfgaard, running about the land, deciding to conquer the world. Hell, he was barely in even the Season 1 finale, being unconscious and dreaming/hallucinating about his mother while being hauled around in a cart the whole episode. Meanwhile, Ciri is waking up in a field of dead bodies, being brought home by the woman whose horse she stole, and eventually leaving and then coming back to find Geralt. At the same time, Yennefer is helping lead the defense of a choke point fort with other mages and destroying a good chunk of the Nilfgaardian army. Why the hell even have Geralt in this show if you are hip deep in girl bosses? And that is probably what showrunner Lauren Hissrich was thinking to herself the entire season, hoping they got renewed so she could write Geralt out of even more of Season 2. Which she did. When you get right down to it, The Witcher Blood Origin is what she really wanted to make the Witcher series into. And from the reviews and ratings on Rotten Tomatoes, she succeeded in Season 3. No wonder Henry Cavill hit the end of his contract and was like, "Yeah, that's about all I can take from you talentless hacks. Peace out." Since I stopped watching The Witcher in Season 1, I was not going to do a video about the disaster that is Season 3. If for no other reason than I would be talking out of my ass, since I had not, nor did I plan to, watch it. However, the complete and total public meltdown of both people associated with the production as well as certain entertainment media has been glorious. Heaping helpings of copium have been passed around like nose candy at a 1980s Hollywood rap party. At this point, even shill sites like Kotaku and The Hollywood Reporter are having to admit it is difficult to put lipstick on this pig. It was made even worse yesterday when the producer for The Witcher, Tomek Baginski, decided to go full retard in the most public way possible, telling the media. This Daniel Kibblesmith lookalike decided to give an interview to Polish news site Wyborczka, very much violating the sage advice, "It is better to remain silent at the risk of being thought a fool than to talk and remove all doubt of it." Now, maybe because he was talking to a Polish site, he felt comfortable tearing his mask off. Or maybe he thought that since it was a Polish site, nobody outside Poland would pick up on his descent into full retard. I don't know. It is, however, a telling look inside the minds of the black holes of creativity involved with the entire Witcher franchise at Netflix. And lately, CD Projekt Red, the gaming company that produces the games. He starts off by trying to explain away the differences between the books and games and his series on Netflix, blaming production chaos and things that crop up that you can't account for, like actors getting sick. Then his elitism rears its ugly little head, saying, quote, "When a series is made for a huge mass of viewers with different experiences from different parts of the world, and a large part of them are Americans, these simplifications not only make sense, they are necessary. It's painful for us, and me too, but the higher level of nuance and complexity will have a smaller range. It won't reach people. Sometimes it may go too far, but we have to make these decisions and accept them." Unquote. To translate that for my fellow Americans who are, according to Baginski, stupid, The Witcher is just too complex for your little minds to take in. So they simplified it for you dummies. Mind you, this is the same country that devoured the Game of Thrones series, followed the Marvel Infinity Saga over 30 movies and a decade and a half, came back for House of the Dragon series, and managed to turn the source material for The Witcher into a best-selling series of books, games, comic books, and now a streaming series. But remember, one of the most famous Witcher nerds on the planet, Henry Cavill, couldn't fathom the moronic changes either. And the changes were not done to bring down, quote, "the higher level of nuance and complexity," unquote, that Americans just won't watch because it is too smart for us. Baginski was not finished demonstrating his dissent, though. He went on to blame the low ratings and bad reviews on young people and TikTok also. Now, I'm all for lambasting TikTok for a whole host of things, so he might have something with that argument if he had not already put his foot so far into his mouth that he was kicking his own colon. Apparently, in Baginski's mind, young people are so addicted to TikTok and social media that logic of storytelling doesn't matter to them, only emotions. That is when the interviewer jumped in and pointed out he was just such a person. Not even backtracking a little. Baginski stated, quote, "Okay, so it's time to be serious. Dear children, what you do to yourself makes you less resilient for longer content, for long and complicated chains of cause and effect," unquote. The condescension was just oozing out of him by this point. And this is the problem with the Hollywood factory model of movie making and series making. Idiots like this have actual power to give instructions to creative people to alter a production. That doesn't mean the writers and showrunner for The Witcher do not bear a lot of responsibility for the mess that The Witcher live-action franchise on Netflix turned into. They do. But it did not help having people like Baginski sticking his spoon into the pot too. The problem with The Witcher wasn't that it was too complicated for Americans, or too long for TikTok-addicted young people, or even that Henry Cavill was too hard to work with, which is another thing people involved with the production have tried to use as an excuse. No, the problem with The Witcher is simple and twofold. First and foremost, the people writing and running the Witcher series had a disdain for both the audience of people who liked The Witcher in all of its iterations and for the actual Witcher IP. We know this because Beau DeMaio, a former writer on the series and current showrunner for the revival of the X-Men animated show for Disney+, has stated plainly that he heard the people involved with the series say they hated it and wanted it changed to suit themselves. Not to make it simpler for the fans to understand. No. They changed it to suit their own desires and agenda for the project, which was not to create a faithful adaptation of Sapkowski's books or even the games. The second part of the problem with The Witcher is not enough bloody Witcher. This is supposed to be a show about The Witcher, not some girl running away from Nilfgaardians or some sorceress running around trying to find someone who can give her back her lady parts that she had torn out to make herself beautiful. A big, buff dude with a sword or an axe killing monsters. That is what we were tuning in for. What they should have been doing is fitting all of that other crap around a big, buff dude killing monsters. As the seasons went on, or so I'm told by people I trust who hung around for the series, the monster killing by the big buff dude went down until Geralt only killed 2 monsters the entire 3rd season. Ciri was killing monsters, Yennefer was killing monsters. Geralt, meanwhile, was crying over his mother and getting wounded. That is what the writers and showrunner thought people tuning in to see Henry Cavill's show wanted to see. And it was Henry Cavill's show. Not Freya Allen's show, not Anya Chalotro's show, not even Lauren Hissrich's show. Henry Cavill's. The cast of the show was made up of a bunch of actors nobody ever heard of and Henry Cavill, making it Henry Cavill's show. That's why people tuned in. Why Hollywood has decided to bait and switch more and more shows and movies is beyond me, but it is getting old, and they are losing hundreds of millions of dollars on this utter dreck they are churning out in an attempt to find a, quote, modern audience, unquote, for their projects. I have come to think that a modern audience is code for drooling imbeciles who will watch whatever shit we serve up to them. The modern audience does not exist. Why? Because what they're really trying to do is take traditionally male-dominated genres, sci-fi, fantasy, action, espionage thriller, and change it so women become the biggest part of those audiences. How? By deconstructing the male characters, or making them subservient, weak, stupid, tertiary characters, thereby elevating the strong female characters they so dream of dominating such lucrative genres. The effect is to drive away the core audience of those genres without attracting the quote-unquote modern audience they were searching for. Ask Disney Marvel and Disney Star Wars and Paramount Star Trek how that is going. For The Witcher, I think it is going towards cancellation by Netflix. Netflix announced the shutting down of production on the show for season 4 and 5 that they were going to record back to back. This, of course, means season 4 will be delayed, and it's being delayed because of the actors and writers strike. With season 3 losing over 60% of its audience from episode 1 to 5, and season 3 currently sitting at a 22% audience score at time of recording, Netflix may follow other studios and use the strike by the writers and actors as an excuse to force majeure contracts and cancel shows that are more trouble and money than they are worth, including The Witcher. That is all I have for you. If you like what I do here, please hit the like button, subscribe to the channel, share the video, and leave a comment or constructive criticism below. Also, make sure you hit the bell icon to be notified when new stuff gets uploaded. I will be working on the mid-season review of Twisted Metal now that I have my issues with Peacock sorted out. I somehow got locked out of the streamer, so that was on pause. Until then, tschüss.